It has been navigating identity crisis among Africa, causes, effect, and solution.
It is First Peter, I think chapter 18. It is said that when Jesus died, during the first 3 days, he worked in order to liberate his ancestors who were in prison since the time of Noah. People don't put attention on this. He had to liberate his ancestors. And that's what we have to do first. The spiritual leaders of Africa must think on how to free our ancestors who are still in yokes. Major unity is that their religion was a science, and science is something that binds people, while beliefs is something that makes people part away. We have to understand that the education that was brought by the white people was for the sake of the exploitation of our raw material, was for the sake of the exploitation of our soil, was for the sake of the exploitation of our culture, and all of this for the sake of the benefit of the West.
Nigeria was only born yesterday. So the Yoruba people, we have something more to defend as a people, something easy to reconstruct as a people than Nigeria. Because the Nigeria history, when people look back, there is very little that they can see behind them. But of course, it is not impossible to construct something if they want to. So when we look at Africa in this sense, when we say make a prejudice to China like you did, what type of Africa are we looking into? The Africa as a result of the European reconstruction, or the Africa that have been before the European? And if Africans were to look back to their ancestry, to where they are coming from, what do we want them to look back to? So like the Yoruba forming because the Yoruba have a very strong culture that is dating back several thousands of years. And is that what we are talking about? Or talking about Nigeria? Our history, they will sort of base it on how the Nigerian nation was defined, the Nigerian geography was defined in Berlin Conference. I don't know if you can say something more about that, because I think the argument can be really very interesting.
We need a centrifuge force that can bring together Black people. I was invited in a party. Actually, it was a TV show, a public TV show. And the theme was wisdom. What is wisdom? We need to reconnect ourselves to African wisdom. African wisdom, according to me, is about hearing. Hearing in a horizontal manner and hearing in a vertical manner. I mean that we have been disconnected, first of all, vertically, that with our holy ancestors. That is the first reconnection that need to be set. Once we have set that reconnection, we can easily also set the reconnection among ourselves. And as I said, we have to ponder on the Egyptian model. What made their unity? What made the unity is that their religion was a science, and science is something that binds people, while beliefs is something that make people part away. And the religion that has been brought in Africa are all of them beliefs. They try to tear the people apart. That is why I'm stressing the fact that in its original nature, that nature that has been kept by the Bantu people, our true religion is a science, an exact science. And we need to bring back that dimension in order not only to reconnect ourselves with our holy ancestors, but first of all, in order to free those who are our ancestors who are still in the yokes. Let me put something here that people don't really care about. Those who are Christian have to read in the Bible, in the book of Peter. It is 1 Peter, I think chapter 18. It is said that when Jesus died, during the first 3 days, he worked in order to liberate his ancestors who were in prison since the time of Noah. People don't put attention on this. He had to liberate his ancestors. And that's what we have to do first. The spiritual leaders of Africa must think on how to free our ancestors who are still in yokes. And secondly, how to free ourselves from the invisible yokes. And then how to use the solar science, the science of our ancestors, in order to bring back the bond of Pan-Africanism. And the easiest way to do this is to bring back the scientific dimension in our spiritual culture.
Thank you so much for that. I think I already asked you something relating to how we might be able to do this, maybe looking at the reality today, and that your response was really brilliant. So there is no need going back there again. So you also have written a lot of books that talked about some of the things that you are talking about here. Could you let people know how they can find your book and where they can buy, so that if they want to learn more about what you are talking about, they can read also from what you have taken the time to prepare for them?
My books are available at Amazon.com. Wherever they are, they can buy my books from Amazon. Those who in Africa cannot afford to buy from Amazon, they can buy PDF books, PDF version of my books from myself. They have to write to me directly from your channel, for example, and they can buy my books. Aside from the books, I wrote 32 scientific papers. Those scientific papers are freely available at www.academia.edu/Luyaluka, and you write Luyaluka in singular, so they can really read my scientific papers there.
Okay, so looking at the conversation that we have had today, which is the crisis of identity among African people, what would be your final thoughts to the people that are listening to us?
We have to understand that The education that was brought by the white people was for the sake of the exploitation of our raw material, was for the sake of the exploitation of our soil, was for the sake of the exploitation of our culture, and all of this for the sake, for the benefit of the West. This has been done by destroying our model of humanity, our model of nature, our model of values, and bringing the Western one as the only model we have to follow. It is time for us to break away from this domineering paradigm. And what I'm stressing here is the role of a parallel education. That parallel must be brought by the true spiritual leaders of Africa. Those leaders who knows how to free our ancestors who are still in yokes in the invisible, how to free ourselves from the invisible bondage, and how to empower our people to reconnect them with our illuminated ancestors. This has to be done now, and this will open the way for the political leader to follow and break away the Western